After seeing the LED screen in person, I know exactly what the problem is. So I went to Miku Expo London, and I was very excited despite the mess that was the North American tour. London was the first stop of the European tour, so there were a lot of questions that were going to be answered at this show. It was already known that Europe was going to also get the LED screen, but the questions about the stage design and the set list wouldn't have been answered until this show happened. Had they fixed the issue with the LED screen, or were they going to continue to use it in a way that made it look bad? But first, let's start off with before the show. An issue that had been solved was the merch stock. I can't speak for the rest of the Europe tour, but London had so much merch stock, they were still selling after the concert had finished. The merch line itself outside was huge and people were waiting for hours, but I'm not sure how that happened or could have been solved because they had the stock, they just couldn't get the line moving? I don't know, I didn't actually go to the merch line, I actually got there pretty late and the line was still long, so I'm not sure what happened. But even though the merch situation at the venue was solved, there was still issues with merch, and that was with the pre-orders. Again, the stock was really great with the pre-orders. Unlike how the American glow sticks sold out in an instant, the Europe glow sticks didn't sell out once during the pre-order period. However, when the date came that the orders were supposed to start shipping out, we were told that there was now going to be a delay and they wouldn't start shipping until the 21st of October, which was only 5 days before the London show, which of course everyone was upset about because they would not get their merch in time. But even with this message, merch did start shipping out before the 21st. I believe shipping started just a few days after it was originally supposed to start, so it wasn't as bad as it could have been, but it still left very little time before the first show, and many people still didn't get their merch in time. But even then, I do not understand why they leave the pre-orders so late. This issue could have easily been solved if they held the pre-order and shipping much earlier. I don't understand why they leave the shipping so late until the month of the concerts. Shipping delays was most likely an issue with their supplier or their shipping service, so it's not directly their fault, but they could easily hold the pre-order and shipping even just 1 month in advance, and people would have a much better chance of getting their stuff, because if there are delays, there would still be time. So that's something else that they could fix. But moving back to the concert, for me, the line management was actually okay. When I got there, I was immediately directed to the line I needed, which was the general seating line, and the guys there were great. They were constantly calling out to people asking if they had general seating and then directing people wherever they needed to go. But I heard the VIP lines and the general standing lines weren't as great, but I can't comment because I didn't actually see those lines. Then when we got in, general seating was actually being let in the same time as VIP, which I can see some VIP ticket holders feeling ripped off about, because the whole point of the VIP ticket was early access to the venue. But VIP and general seating were going to very different parts of the venue, so I don't think it really mattered, other than the general ticket holders getting access to the merch being sold inside first. But the VIP tickets specifically state they do not grant you early access to the merch, just early access to the venue, which leads into the point that some VIP ticket holders didn't get there early enough, and so they didn't get a spot near the front. And while it is unfortunate that these people paid more just to stand in the same spot as the general standing, even though it's not as well known as it should, the VIP ticket does not grant you the spot at the front. The early access is what allows you to get a spot at the front, because once general standing start coming in, there is no way for VIP to squeeze their way through to the front. Otherwise, the general people would just be getting pushed about trying to let people through, and it would just be a mess. So it is unfortunate for the VIP holders that got there late because of transport, but I saw some VIP holders complaining they couldn't get to the front because they stayed in the merch line past the time that the general standing are allowed in. I do understand being very frustrated with spending all this money and then not getting the spot, but VIP does not grant you access to the front. It's the early access to the venue that your VIP ticket grants you that gets you that front spot. That being said though, there was no barrier between VIP and general standing, which is a venue's problem. It's not Miku Expo's fault, but the fact there was no separation between VIP and general, some VIPs that got there in time ended up getting pushed back because people in general were trying to shove their way to the front, which wouldn't have happened if there was a separation between VIP and general, which was terrible for these people and very awful concert etiquette. But that is more of a venue's issue than the Miku Expo teams, but still very much a problem. Anyway, as I said, I was in general seating and I was at the very back of the venue. I was in section E1 and I was at the very back. There was no one behind me, it was just a wall. And I was very worried about what my view would be because for 2018 I was VIP at the front and in 2020 I was in raised seating and I was quite central and near the front as well. So this was the first time I was seeing Miku Expo from a very back view. So I was kind of worried about how it was gonna look. But first impressions when I got in there, it was very smoky. I don't know if this is a new thing or if they had it at the past expos, but I do not remember the venues being this smoky. But because of this, I couldn't see the stage design, so I was sat there for a couple hours waiting in anticipation to see what was going on behind that veil. But before getting into the concert details, I want to say I love this community so much. While people were still coming in, everyone was doing this little game of where we raised a colored glow stick and then started cheering. It was just so cute. I love how everyone cycled through all of the colors and everyone was screaming so loudly. I wouldn't be surprised if people outside thought the concert had already started. And then there was this absolute legend that kept coming to the back and dancing with the glow sticks, and everyone was cheering for him so loudly, and he came back like 5 or 6 times and just kept entertaining us at the back. And then you have the constant trend of people bringing their DSs, chanting with their plushies. I just love this community that Miku has created. Anyway, on to the concert. So first of all, the stage design. It was exactly the same, which I am disappointed in, because each and every expo past 2016 has had their own unique design. Even Miku Expo Europe 2018, that only had 3 concerts, had its own design, and even the 5th anniversary tour had a different stage design for Taiwan and Hong Kong and Europe. So the fact that they kept this design seems really lazy to me, especially since the sub-theme for the North American tour was like superhero or comic superhero. So the building designs made sense because, you know, superheroes saving the city, but Europe's sub-theme was modern art. So this stage design didn't really make sense for it. If the stage design was more neutral and didn't have a heavy theme, I would have been okay with it sticking for the entirety of the 10th anniversary tour, because the past stage designs didn't really fit so heavily with the tour's themes, but this one was just very obviously into that superhero theme. So while the others could have been used for more tours, this one doesn't really make sense. At least to me, I probably dig into it way too much. But this one just seems very obviously building designs, while the other past expos, you couldn't really guess with them because they were that neutral. But that's probably just me. But the big question was, did the LED screen stand out? And no, it didn't. They had fixed it. And it was a more obvious fix than you would think. The stage design itself was the same, but they got rid of the lights that ran behind the screen, therefore making the background black and blending in the LED screen. And it actually worked really well. Like I said, I was at the very back of the arena, but from where I sat, it looked almost flawless. Even when there was a bright light show, you couldn't tell it was an LED screen. Now I say it was almost flawless because part of the stage design still cut off some of the LED screen. From where I sat, it wasn't as obvious, but after seeing some people's videos from their different positions in the venue, it is more obvious in some spots than others. But these background buildings, their LEDs sometimes ran behind the LED screen, and when they shined, you could see that it got cut off. So if they weren't there at all, you wouldn't be able to tell it was an LED screen at all. So they are literally so close to perfecting this. It is insane how they haven't done it already. Because past Expo stage designs, they rarely had anything going behind the screen. So literally, if any of these stage designs had the LED screen, you wouldn't be able to tell at all. So why they chose to have a stage design that would have things run behind the screen when they knew they were going to have an LED screen, so it obviously wouldn't be seen, it's just very weird, because it's not like it was the norm to always have things in the background. So yeah, whoops, they didn't account for it this time. Yeah, it's just really weird. And also the fact the reason the North American LED LED screen looks so bad was such an easy fix by taking out the lights from behind the screen. It is very insulting that they didn't do that sooner, because it was such an easy and obvious fix. Get rid of the lights behind and it creates a black background that the LED screen can blend into. Done. So I don't know if there was something going on with their equipment that meant they couldn't take it out, like the rest of the stage lights just wouldn't work if those weren't in place. But it is a big slap in the face to all the North American attendees, because the Europe show just showed that it could work and that they could fix it, but they just didn't. And their best fix was putting LED strips around the screen, which they had now ditched at the European tour. So this is just clear to me that they did not think through the stage design and LED screen for the North American tour, which they should be ashamed of themselves for. It's great that they have now figured out how to use the LED screen, but this should have been thought through way before the North American tour had started. Anyway, despite how they could have done it even better, the illusion was much better in place now that the background was completely dark. And I believe some people couldn't even tell if it was the LED screen. So now we move on to when the concert started, and like the stage design, the opening sequence and the band introduction was exactly the same as North America, which again I say is very lazy. Not only are these visuals very plain, but I don't know if it's just me, but this seems to have the comic superhero theme as well. Again, I wouldn't mind them using this exact same opening for the whole of the 10th anniversary tour if it was more neutral. But these visuals compared to 2020 are such a letdown. They're very plain and simple, and there could be so much more, especially since this is an opening for the 10th anniversary tour. Like, compare this to Magical Mirai's 10th anniversary opening sequence. Could you tell that this is the 10th anniversary of Miku Expo? Yes, I know Magical Mirai is a much bigger event with a much bigger budget, but even so, all of the past openings have been much more detailed than this. Like, 2020 literally had pictures of different European landmarks in the background. For a 10th anniversary opening sequence, I was expecting it to be a bit more special. And like the build up for Miku's name, this is very plain. I can't say anything other than that. Just compare this opening to any of the past expos and you can see it's just such a letdown. But the instrumentals for it was very hype. It definitely built the atmosphere for the concert. I just wish it had better visuals to go with it. Also including the little visual that the characters appear from. Again, I don't know if it's just me, but this still seems with the theme of comic superhero. It has that comic animated look. If it was more neutral, again, I wouldn't mind them using it for the entire 10th anniversary. I just wish there was more effort and it didn't look like they were recycling the same old thing just because they could. Anyway, on to the set list. So I was very excited to see what they were going to do. Was it going to be the same as North America, or was there going to be even more switch-ups? Because in the past, there have been quite the switch-ups between different tours. Even with the 5th anniversary tour, there was a lot of differences and a lot of change-ups. So I was excited to see what they were going to do, but yeah, as you could hear, I was very scared once Miku started playing. I was hoping the beginning song had been switched. Nothing wrong with Miku. I just thought it was a weird choice to open the European tour, and it just cemented my fear that it was going to be exactly copy-paste of North America, especially since I had just been hit with the same stage design and opening sequence. So I greatly anticipated the next song. Yeah. I got really scared really quick. I was expecting Vampire to play, but not in the exact same order it did at North America. So the only thing I could think during this song was, have they been so lazy to keep the same stage, same opening, and exact same set list? I'm gonna laugh if I know exactly what the next song is. I'm going to I was very relieved when Lucky Orb started playing. If Unknown Mother Goose started playing, I don't know what I would have done, but I would have been severely disappointed. But Lucky Orb playing third was a surprise for me. I thought it would have been kept as a later setlist song, but that doesn't really matter. I do absolutely love the stage lights and visuals for Lucky Orb though. It's so colourful and fun, but as you can see with the lighting and all of the smoke, at times it was really difficult to see the characters. I do understand the smoke smoke needs to be there so you can see the lights, but it just made it very difficult to see the characters at times, which I think is more important than the light show. After Lucky Orb, it was Miku's first speech, which was exactly the same as North America, which again, a little bit disappointed because in the past it has been different, but out of all the things, I think that one's the most acceptable, especially when this speech is translated into each country's own language. But even at this point, I was still wondering how much of the concert was going to be the same as America. So when Miku disappeared and this little intermission started... Is it going to be Len? Is it going to be Len next? Is this thing? You can hear I'm a little confused because I couldn't anticipate which song it was going to be, but I knew it was a different one, so that kind of assured me. But even then, I couldn't really tell because you had blue and red on these stage lights. So I was trying to think, is it Kaito or Meiko? Which song could it be? But I couldn't think of any. And then when it finally started... I was a bit excited that I knew it. I knew at least one song from Magical Mirai 2024 was going to perform at the concert because in the past, the songs that debut at the Mirai before any expo typically perform there as well. And I am glad it was New Human Race because this is a very hype song live. So I think it was a good choice to bring over. And since Rin's song was different, I was anticipating that Len's was different as well. And it was. It wasn't personally the song I was hoping for the most, but it was a good choice and I'm happy with it. But with these two changes, it made me very nervous because the one song I was hoping for from the North American tour was Childish War. So the fact that both Rin and Len's songs had changed, it made me think that their duet had changed as well. So when Telecaster B-Boy ended... Please? Pretty please? Wait... I was very excited when it was still there. I had been waiting for this song to be performed for years, and since it performed at North America, I thought it had such a high chance of being changed out, and it made me so upset, so I'm glad it was kept in. It was literally the main song I was hoping for. Anyway, after their duet, it was Kaito, and for some reason, his song didn't change, which wouldn't be as strange, but all of the other characters, they got different songs. So why didn't he? Nothing wrong with the song, I just think it's weird that he's the only one that didn't change. After him was Meiko, and... Yeah, I was a bit excited. When Meiko appeared and the song didn't instantly start, I knew it wasn't the same song as America. And even with how far away I was, I knew it was the new UK model. And I couldn't remember if the recently debuted Tycoon song used that model or not. So I knew it was between that and Red Landmarker. And it was Red Landmarker, which was another song I was hoping for. So I was really happy with that. Then after that came their duet. And it was the song I wanted the least. I was really hoping for Reality, but Midnight Surf is my least favorite out of the duets Kaito and Meiko have performed, so I was kind of upset about that, but oh well. Then after that, I was expecting Miku Miku Beam, since they seem to be going basically on the exact same pattern as North America. Miku Miku Beam. I was kind of surprised when it didn't happen because I knew if Blue Star was playing, it was most likely going to be the set of 3 Miku Expo themed songs all playing in a row, and I was expecting Love Shot to stay performed in the center of the set list. It kind of caught me off guard how far down the set list it got pushed, but the Miku Expo themed songs that London got was Blue Star, 10,000 Stars, and Plaything. No, I don't remember. I'm scared. Please excuse my reaction to Plaything. I have nothing against the song, but I was hoping for Thousand Little Voices, and I knew this was the last Miku Expo type song that were going to be changed out, so I got a little sad knowing that I wasn't going to get to see it. But the fact that they used the exact same pattern of the daily changes as the North American tour has me kind of disappointed. They had the opportunity to switch these songs up, just to have a different mix, but they didn't, which was really strange because in the past, the daily changes have always switched, but instead they kept the exact same pattern as North America, which is kinda lazy. But there is a change, because for some reason they dropped Sharing the World. How could they drop Sharing the World? It's the first Miku Expo theme song, and this is the 10th anniversary tour. And you would think if they knew they were going to drop one of these songs, they would switch the pattern up a bit, so it wasn't obvious that there was just a gaping hole where a song used to be. But instead they just put Decade in its place. So Decade performed at 2 of the 3 set lists, which I can't wrap my head around the choice. Why would they drop it? And then just filling it in as if nothing happened. It just doesn't make sense to me. I don't know why I'm getting so worked up over a set list that I didn't even get. But it's the first Miku Expo theme song. I just don't understand why they would get rid of it. Anyway, I was pretty happy with the songs I did get. Out of those 3 set lists, I do prefer the one I got the most. But it was funny after each of these songs, seeing everyone change their light stick to pink and all getting psyched out when Miku just came on stage again. I saw people complaining about that Luca came on really late. But historically, it's always been like that. Luca has always performed in the later half of the concert, so this isn't a new thing. And I still find it funny how people are still getting psyched out by this, because it's happened at every expo. Anyway, after Plaything ended, another intermission happened. And you can hear I was a bit confused because I was trying to guess what song was next. And lucky for everyone in the crowd, it was Luca. And once again, we have another Magical Mirai 2024 song, that being Lost and Found, which I was kind of disappointed in. Not because the song is bad, but because recently Luca's only been getting really slow songs. And there's nothing wrong with slow songs. I do believe every Miku concert needs one. I just hate that it's always Luca, because she has so many hype songs. And especially since she's been dropped from having 2 solo songs to just 1, she doesn't really get any other opportunity. But the song was fine. I was glad it had changed from North America. But what hadn't changed was Miku and Luca's duet, which was Vivid. And the beginning of the song actually scared me. It kind of just stunned me. I couldn't even react. It was just so sudden. I was kind of expecting this song to change, but it's fine that it didn't. I just did not anticipate how much it would scare me when it started. But now that we were getting later into the concert and all the other characters have had their turn, I was wondering what songs were going to be there. Really? And as you can hear, I was not expecting Hyper Reality Show at all. I was convinced that this was one of the songs that were going to be switched out just because of the fact it performed in 2020. And I had assumed that they were going to switch it out with a different song just so they could bring more songs to the region, if you know what I mean. But I'm not complaining because I did love seeing this song live in 2020. And it was a song I wish I did get to see again because I didn't actually know it in 2020. So it was an unexpected surprise. But I was still wondering where Love Shot was. Oh my god! Please excuse that reaction, but I was kind of worried that this song would have been cut because it didn't perform at Miku With You 2024, so I was kind of worried that they had put it on the back shelf already, so I was very happy when it started playing. And then after this song was the band introduction, and once again this band was amazing. The drummer and the keyboardist were the same as the North American tour, but the bassist and the guitarist were new, and they did so well, and the instrumentals for the band introduction were very hype, but you already know how I feel about the visuals. Also, I love how the white color on the glow stick has just unofficially become the band members' color, because back in the day, everybody used to scramble for the color that their name was introduced in, but now everyone's just kind of settled with white, which I kind of like because I then get to focus on the actual band members instead of hurriedly trying to change to the right color in time. But as it ended, I was wondering what song is going to follow this. I could tell instantly it was Unknown Mother Goose, and it really shocked me because again, I thought this song was going to be cut, but it wasn't, and I know a lot of people were happy about that. But unlike the North American performance, this one was slightly different. Because Miku was back to her default colours instead of the 2020 recolor, which I was probably the only one that noticed, but it still caught my interest, as you could hear. But since the band member introduction happened, I knew we were getting very late into the concert, and Love Shot was still nowhere to be seen. No! until it finally happened. I'm kind of disappointed they got rid of the little intermission before the song, like in America, because I think it just added to the performance, and it felt kind of weird it just suddenly starting. But regardless, the song itself is great, and here's my Miku Miku Beam clip, but I gotta say I'm not proud of it because my voice kind of died. I'm sorry for letting everyone down, because I'm pretty sure I blacked out during it. Anyway, after this hype song, we got this kind of very calm intermission, which was quite the change in energy. And once more, I didn't know what song it was, and I was trying to figure it out. I'm confuzzled. I don't know what's going to happen. It's a freaking Tell Your World. Is it Tell Your World? Sounds like it. I don't know why I sounded so sarcastic, but I kind of had enough of Tell Your World. It's performed so much, I'm kind of just sick of it. But that's just because I've seen it live 3 times now, which is a luxury. I don't know, not everyone's had that chance. But regardless, it was Tell Your World, so that meant confetti. So when the last chorus was dropping, I was bracing for the confetti release. Just for nothing to happen, which was really a surprise to me because they love releasing the confetti to Tell Your World. So I was left wondering which song was going to be the confetti release, because I knew there weren't that many songs left. There was no confetti. Which one's going to be the confetti? Oh my god! Please excuse that guttural reaction. I was just not expecting Melt at all, because Melt has semi-retired and it hasn't performed much in recent years, so it was just nowhere in my predictions it was going to perform. So I was very happy with it, and it wasn't until I was on the train back home that I had realized it replaced World Is Mine. Like, as I was leaving the venue, I was trying to figure out which song it had replaced, but could not think of it, and I just did not realize World Is Mine didn't play, which I think is because I've seen it live twice already, so I wasn't bothered if it didn't perform. But I do know a lot of people were disappointed, as it was their first Miku concert, and it is a surprise to me too. I was not expecting them to drop World Is Mine. Melt is a really good replacement, but dropping World Is Mine, it's a very, very big shock, because World Is Mine has performed at every overseas concert apart from the first Miku Expo in Indonesia. The one song that was a guarantee and is basically the Miku song has now been dropped. And I don't think some people gauge just how crazy this is, because the one song that always had a 100% chance of performing has now broken that streak. I doubt World Is Mine will ever be retired, but the fact it didn't perform for this tour does imply it's gonna go on a slow decline, which is actually kind of scary to see. But regardless, Melt was amazing to see live again, and I don't know if it's just where I was sat, but I could not hear many people singing along, which I was kind of upset about. But regardless, I was on the high of this song performing all the way back home, because I just could not believe it did. And I'm sad I haven't seen many people happy about it, because they're upset it replaced World Is Mine. But when I heard it started playing after Tell Your World, after there had been no confetti, I was like, oh, this must be the confetti song. But it wasn't. There was still no confetti, and I was confused. Especially when Miku appeared and started her second speech, which I knew meant Intergalactic Bound, which only left the encore. And if it was the same as America, which I was guessing it was, from the 2 songs, I couldn't really see any of them being the confetti release. So I was actually kind of worried that there wasn't going to be any confetti. But during Intergalactic Bound, during the lyrics, like in North America, instead of singing New York, Miku called out the name of the city she was performing in, which I'm glad is something that they kept, because it's a really cool concept. And then after that, we were left waiting for the encore, and when Miku returned, it was Imaginary Love Story, which was exactly the same as North America, so it still had me confused where the confetti was. But I have to say, for an encore, it's pretty pathetic with only 2 songs. Then Miku said her final speech, and then highlights started playing, which I'm really glad was adapted into a real stage performance. It would have been weird celebrating the 10th anniversary of Miku Expo when the 20 2021 Expo theme and contest winner weren't adapted and performed, but I knew this song meant the end of the concerts. So where was the confetti? They really had me hanging out to the very last second, and the confetti was a slight second delayed from the drop. So for a split second, I really thought that there was no confetti, but when it did release, I was kind of off guard because these were really long streamers, much longer than those in the past. And I found out that there was no custom printing on them. They were just plain silver, which is a really big disappointment because past Expo's confetti have always had the dates and the locations printed on them, just so they were a little bit more special. So I don't like that they cut corners here. In relative, it is a really small thing, but it's just another thing that they've changed, and it's just made themselves look cheaper. Then at the end of the song, Miku spoke to the crowd again, which I do have to say, I love how much she spoke to the audience in this concert. In the past, it's typically only been one speech, so it's great that they're giving her more because it just adds that little bit more life to her. And then the concert ended, which was really sad. The set list was only 23 songs long, which I don't like. The same with America, it's just too short. The concert was over way too quickly, and I don't like how the set list has slowly gotten shorter and shorter over time, because they used to be 26 to 28 songs long, and given the fact that ticket prices have also gone up, we're kind of paying more for less of a show. Overall though, I did enjoy the concert, but I do wish there were a lot more changes from the North American set list, like switching up the daily changes, and also switching up more of the songs. I know a lot of people liked these songs, but I feel like there could have been more changed around. And the LED screen was great. It was so much better than North America, which makes you wonder why they didn't do that during the tour. But I do think the stage design could have been a lot better just to have that little extra inch for the illusion. And also I wish the stage design and the introduction animations were a lot more neutral, because to me it didn't seem like a 10th anniversary thing at all, and more just the superhero comic theme of the North American tour. To me it just looked like it lacked effort, especially compared to the 5th anniversary tour opening in Europe 2020 that even included people's fan art during the intermissions, which I think had such an extra touch to it, and it makes me sad they didn't put that effort into this tour, you know? Regardless, it was a decent concert, especially since they fixed the issue with the LED screen, and I definitely am going to be going to the next one, which hopefully by then they would have fixed all of their problems, and maybe even get the hologram back. Who knows? It's definitely much better than what North America was, so hopefully the 10th anniversary just gets much stronger and stronger from here. But Miku, please hurry back to the UK, because I don't know if I can wait 2 years.